What is going on, ladies and gents? Welcome to Collectors Gone Digital. My name is Josh, and on today's episode, we're going to be covering a new project, Wilder World. Now, many of you guys watch the videos because of VeVe, as that's the project that we cover, but some of you guys clicking on this video may be from the Wilder community, and if that's the case, welcome. Now, if you've been living under a rock this past week, underneath the promo post for the Stargate drop, we had Wilder World's post, "New portals await to new worlds." Of course, our community blew it way up, and lots of speculation came from it. It's actually why this video was made. But when I put out the promo post for the video, I actually had one of their devs or executives comment and confirm there is no association between them and VeVe. So if you guys are from the VeVe community, you clicked on this video hoping that there was a relationship. I hate to break it to you, but there is not as of right now. However, there are many things that the Wilder team and VeVe team can learn from each other. And even if that doesn't happen, there's many ways the Wilder team are implementing this NFT and blockchain tech with their in-game assets that will give our VeVe community a much better idea of where things are actually heading, at least in the gaming space. Because we know NFTs are going to affect multiple different industries: real estate, cars, tickets, concerts, it goes on. I have a gaming background, so I've always said that for somebody who has one, it's a little bit easier to understand this NFT stuff. But for anybody who doesn't have gaming experience, I really hope this video puts it into perspective with what's possible. So a little bit of a longer intro today, guys. I apologize. Grab your favorite drink, grab your favorite snack, sit back, relax, and enjoy. All right, so kicking things off, what exactly is Wilder World? So it's going to be a massive multiplayer metaverse, and I say going to because it is still in development. Now, this project has actually been around for 12 years, okay? So it's not new. I know that's typically what you think when you hear development. But on the right-hand side, you're actually going to see an early iteration of their project, or at least one of them. And you're going to see in this video from the photos and videos on screen just how far they've come. And spoiler alert, it's far. So the world leverages the latest advancements in photorealism, artificial intelligence, and blockchain technology. In the world, you're going to be able to race, explore, battle, and earn. And then they have multiple in-game assets that allow you to do this. So they have a wheels collection, which are their car NFTs. They have a moto collection, motorcycles. Crafts for aircrafts. They have a collection of beasts. Owls, which are wolves that you can actually change into. They have a kicks collection, which is shoes for avatars. And then cribs, which are properties that you can buy. Now, all of this is going to be powered by their WILD token, which is their in-game currency. So it powers the economy, similar to that of the 𝗙𝗵𝗵 token inside the VeVeverse. But you're going to be able to use the token to buy, sell, trade in-game assets, as well as other things like mining resources to earn tokens from what you mine. Now, here's a little bit behind their story, and there's going to be two things I want to highlight here. The Wilder story begins in Wiami, which is an electric nexus in the metaverse. As a citizen inside of this space, you get to explore the towering megastructures, which are all procedurally generated, by the way, and neon lit streets. You get to find quests, make allies, and confront mercenaries to protect the city's fate. When it comes to Wilder World as a whole, it's actually based on a true story, or at least that's what they say in one of their devlogs, which we will dive much deeper into later on in this episode. There is so much information. 2 weeks before his death in 2018, Stephen Hawking's final paper, A Smooth Exit from Eternal Inflation, proposed a theory to detect whether other universes could exist outside of OBR. In his final act, Hawking's paper gives us the clues that practically discover parallel worlds using the measurement of fine-grained gravitational waves. His paper then became the theoretical basis for the discovery of new worlds using portal reactor technology. This, ladies and gents, is what the origin of Wilder World is based on. Hence the Wiami versus Miami. Different dimensions. Get it? Moving on. Now, speaking of Wiami, what is it? It is the first city in Wilder World, and at its center is Kernel, a source code designed to decentralize the power and limit outside forces from taking control of the metaverse. Now, there's a mainland and an island, and within Wiami, there's over 9 industries, 10 districts, and 100+ neighborhoods. Now they go on to talk about future tech that they're using to build out this space. Okay, it's comprised of 4 things. Immersive photorealism. So they mimic real life through real-time lighting, textures, and environmental effects to make for a more immersive virtual experience. Next is community ownership. So players share value, ownership, and governance through blockchain-based smart contracts, as well as reward mechanisms. They allow for massive scale, so around 10,000 players in a vast virtual environment with persistent objects, real-time rendering, physics, and concurrency. And then last, they talk about sovereign AI. So interactive in-game avatars, NPCs, and objects are designed with intelligence that can operate autonomously within the world. Now, I mentioned the project is still in development and they are going to be rolling out phases similar to that of the VeVe team with the VeVeVerse. Phase 1 is going to be racing, okay? I'm going to toss some gameplay on screen to give you guys some context here. Keeping in mind, though, it is all gameplay from in development, so you may see some bugs. I will also point out that the driving mechanics seem a little off when turning, and that's coming from a big Forza Horizon fan. But they say fast-paced street racing with SimCAD physics and vehicle customization. You're going to be able to create races and challenge other players in the streets. Now, phase 2 consists of exploration. So embark on journeys or quests to achieve specific objectives, uncover mysteries, and level up through a narrative-driven experience. The third phase focuses on combat. Engage in combat against multiple opponents in a fast-paced open world. They do only say hand-to-hand and melee weapons here, but in one of their videos, I did see a gun as well. So I would expect those. In fact, it was actually in their test environment. And then the last of their 4-phase plan is your grand strategy. So oversee the development and expansion of Wiami while managing various resources and making strategic decisions to build your empire. In the promo post for this video, I said this game reminds me of a mix between Destiny and GTA. For anybody who's played Grand Theft Auto, you might be able to see that now. You can race, you can explore, you can fight, and then your grand strategy reminds me a lot of, managing the different businesses and clubs inside GTA. Now, utility is a word that everybody likes, and they talk about it. 4 utilities to be specific. The first one is trade. So exchange wild tokens for digital assets with in-game utility. This has to do with their NFT collections, which we will cover later on in the episode, so stay tuned. Next is going to be earn. So complete quests and challenges and level up to earn wild tokens. The third is resource. So harness or mine in-world resources to generate tokens. And then the last one is vote. So propose and vote with tokens to influence the future of Wiami. So it sounds like you actually get a say in the direction of the project. So now we're going to dive into their devlogs. And I gotta say, hats off to the team. The amount of detail that they go into in these devlogs, it's actually quite shocking. They have planned out every little bit from corner to corner of this project and city. And just to give you an example to start off with, they have a diagram that breaks down the specifics of what qualifies a building to be small, medium, tall, or a high rise. It's like 6 to 12 floors, and then 24 to 36, and then 150 plus. It's crazy. In fact, I would actually argue it's a level of detail that isn't even necessary. They choose to do it, and I respect that a lot. Why? Because it adds to the overall experience. The more polished the approach, the better it is for the user. And you guys are about to see exactly how polished they have it. So diving into the first devlog here, we got devlog 0. And I've done my absolute best, guys, to summarize this down as much as I can. I kept coming across more and more. I felt like I was playing whack-a-mole. I was like, oh, gotta cover that. Oh, gotta cover that. Unfortunately, I can't cover everything. So I have attached all 5 of these devlogs in the description down below. So inside these logs, guys, what they're pretty much showing are any and all features tied to the project. So in the first one, they talk about racing. And they say our primary focus right now is delivering a high quality, scalable, and super fun gaming experience that enables citizens to experience Wiami firsthand. Part of this racing experience is their 𝗙𝗵𝗄 track. And this is their first official race course within Wiami. So the track actually acts as a central nervous system for the island that can be extended and expanded to create different racing maps throughout the greater Wiami metropolis. They then go on to introduce something called Little Meow. And this is the first of 9 neighborhoods in development on the island. So again, we have the island and the mainland. The mainland's going to be way bigger. And they actually have a team, and you guys can probably see this through the photos, but a team of architects and urban planning experts who are actually building it like you would an actual city in the real world. 𝗙𝗵𝗧 is situated at the southern tip of the island, and it's a reimagination of the iconic South Beach area of Miami in real life. And this is exactly what I mean about the level of detail. Check this out. They have the specific number of buildings within the city, 755. They know the max population is around 9,000 citizens. And then as mentioned before, I'll toss it on screen now. They break down the difference between low rise, medium rise, high rise, super tall, and mega tall buildings. They do say the info is subject to change, but still, that's crazy to plan out. So they go on to talk about generation systems and specifically how they built the map. So the buildings, the roads, the sidewalks, the sewers, the streetlights, the trees, the parks, the rivers, gardens, and mountains are all created using these techniques. They say unlike a normal city that is built by hand by manually moving 3D models around, Wiami is primarily built using a complex set of integrated algorithms that improve daily. So at every point of improvement, the city is regenerated with the press of a button. And they actually say, yes, there is a button. The result of this is a unique and interesting experience with no 2 objects in the world ever being the same. All right, so those were the main things I wanted to highlight from devlog 0. We're now moving over into devlog 1. So in this devlog, we actually get a glimpse into many of 𝗙𝗵𝗧's hotspots. So 𝗙𝗵𝗧 being that neighborhood we just covered. And then we also get some more info on their gameplay loop. Keeping in mind this gameplay pertains to phase 1, which is racing. And this is how it works. So it starts off by getting in your car. Access your personalized Wilder wheels stored safely in your garage. Wheels can be parked inside private garages like the Hideout, or by using public metered parking on the street or at a variety of city parking lots. The next step is to find a race. So make a stop at a station to replenish your fuel. Fuel is scarce in Wiami, and it's required to power your vehicle. And you can find race challenges from a race terminal at the station. On top of this, you can also create races using a custom designed race creator, and any spot in Wiami can become a racing hotspot to create an authentic racing experience. Next step, you have to drive to the track. You're going to use your nav to do this, or your mini map. Once you get there, you're going to race. Kind of makes sense, right? And then depending on how that race goes, you're going to earn and level up. From there, the cycle continues. So I'm assuming you just end back up in your vehicle. You can just drive to another race and rinse and repeat. So now we get a little bit more information on some of the points of interest in 𝗙𝗵𝗧, but also the second neighborhood of Wiami called Space Mind. And the first place we're talking about here is the Hideout. So this is where your gameplay experience is actually going to start. You take an access gated elevator from the street level of 𝗙𝗵𝗧 down into the Hideout, and this is part of a subterranean network of garages that are located throughout the island. As for all the other points of interest, we're going to breeze through all of them real quick here. So we have the Boulevard, which is inspired by Miami's South Beach Sunset Strip. That's a tongue twister. Next, we have Mushroom Towers, which is the first beach club within Wiami. Neon Quan is going to be home to a number of different public hangouts, bars, and nightlife, as well as a variety of equipment shops. We have the Promenade, which is the first commercial shopping district. The Cube, which is Wiami's first official residence. Next are the Trinity Towers, also known as Trinity Island, which is a private space for Trinity members, holders of 3 or more Genesis industry assets, which is one of their NFT collections. We have the GWEI stations, which is where you fuel up and craft your cars, as well as the races. Then we're going to have the Tranquility Gardens and Kin Resort, Wiami's first hotel and spa. And then last but not least, Tower 0, which is going to serve as the primary headquarters for members of the 0 team. So now we've covered devlog 0 and 1. Let's move over into devlog 2. Now earlier we talked about how you can earn in game. So the first thing I want to highlight in this log is their win to earn when it comes to racing. So they say that during our first season, players will compete for a daily reward pool of 50,000 wild, or roughly $10,000 at the time of writing this. And based on usage, learnings, and data, This pool will increase or decrease at the sole discretion of the project. Rewards will be distributed daily based on 3 game mechanics. So a third of the pool goes to the person that gets the most wins, a third goes to the person with the fastest track time, and then the remaining goes to the fastest single lap. Now, another utility tied to their vehicles is staking. So holders will be required to stake their wheels NFT. You're going to be loaned a finely tuned high performance vehicle from 9 Lives, which is one of the first racing clubs within Wiami. Now, you do eventually get down to a section of their log that talks about the exact equipment you need to run this game. And unfortunately, guys, it is not entry level. I myself am a console player, so I actually don't even have this set up. But you need an Intel 10 Gen processor with 8 cores, a NVIDIA RTX 3060, 32 gigabytes of RAM, and a Windows 10 or 11. And get this, that's only to achieve roughly 30 frames per second. For 60 frames, you need a 13 gen processor, you need a NVIDIA RTX 4090, 64 gigs of RAM, and again, a Windows 10 or 11. The reason for all this, guys, is because they're using Unreal Engine, okay? It's not Unity. You are going to need a higher level setup in order to handle the computing power. Now, remember what I said at the beginning of the video about how the community can learn a lot from what this team is doing? Listen to this. We are exploring the use of 𝗙𝗵𝗵𝗀𝗡, and this is for their avatars. This underlining framework enables the NFT to act as a specialized container for your digital items. So the way I'm understanding this is that anything that interacts with your avatar, or in other words, anything that your avatar has access to, weapons, skins, pets, vehicles, all of those things are technically stored within the wallet, and the wallet being the avatar itself. Within this wallet, you can securely store various digital assets ranging from cryptocurrencies to proof of attendance records. So let's cover an example here. The WILDER team offers something called air kicks, which are going to be shoes for your avatar. By pairing the wallet with the avatar, you can equip any of your in-game assets so that they go onto that avatar, and then you can sell a single avatar along with all of its equipped items, which can each be their own specific NFT. So when I read this section of the log, I was like, okay, this team gets it. They get it. Another insane detail in this game is, and this might seem like a small thing, but it's really not. They have footage of them flying up to buildings, and they can look into every single window, and there's a different environment in each one. In a lot of games, that's something that's typically copied and pasted, or even like they'll frost the glass so you can't even see inside. This takes it to a whole other level, and I believe it's procedurally generated as well. Next up, we're gonna have Devlog 3, and I'll try speeding this one up, guys. Devlog 4 doesn't really have too much in it, so. Now in this log, they introduced different camera modes. So they have bonnet view, third person view, and now they introduce a full list of establishments in 𝗙𝗵𝗧. So check this out. So we have the cafe, where vehicles are parked on the sidewalks near the racing start line. We have Neon Pistons, which is the first automotive shop. Spittin' Kitten, the first coffee shop. The WAM, is that named after the ROM in Toronto? But the Wiami Art Museum. Fun fact, I've actually slept overnight in the ROM. A little in real life night at the museum experience for me. I slept on the floor in the Egyptian space. That's a story for another day. We have WickDonald's. Air Wild, which is going to be a store in the metaverse. The Wilder Wheels dealership. The Wiami Theater. And last but not least, Wilder Records. All right, that concludes Devlog 3. Let's move on to the last one here, Devlog 4. Now, I did mention this one is short, but I do want to mention this, Zero ID. So we are going to be diving into their NFT collections, but among some of their NFTs are going to be full worlds. They say worlds are scarce by definition, making them ideal for communities, projects, organizations, and other groups looking to manage membership and support community growth. Worlds are standard Ethereum NFTs, 𝗙𝗵𝗵𝗎𝗓s, which feature one-of-one imagery from an open source generative model trained in partnership with a company called Preem AI. So that's actually really the only thing I want to cover in that log, just to save some time here. But we're just talking about NFTs, so let's dive into their collections. All right, so taking a look at their NFT collections, they have 10 currently available. We're not going to go through them all, But the three that I want to point out here are the Wilder wheels, 𝗙𝗍𝗍, and then down here the 𝗙𝗍𝗏s. So these are 6,396, very specific number, of procedurally generated 5D one-of-one NFT vehicles with dynamic gameplay abilities within Wilder World. So scrolling down to some of these vehicles, they're really cool, obviously, as you guys can see on screen. But I have a question for the team, because I'm quite stumped here. I don't know how you guys are using some of these models without having acquired the license. Because on the right-hand side, I mean, this is an 𝗕𝗏𝗍𝗏, right? This is a 𝗍𝗏𝗏. This is a 𝗙𝗍𝗏, I think. No, sorry, this is a 𝗙𝗍𝗏, right? We got a BMW up here. So unless these models have been slightly changed, and I'm just not picking up on it, kind of like a GTA thing, that would make sense, I guess. But these look like the exact models. I mean, this looks identical to a Lamborghini Aventador, right? Same down here. Like this Zonda R, they call it the Zonda W, but this looks identical. So I'm not entirely sure how you guys are able to use these models and toss your logo on them. But I mean, down here, another one, 𝗙𝗵𝗵𝗄. That is identical to a 𝗙𝗵𝗵 in real life. For anybody who knows that, that's one of my favorite cars ever made. Hennessy Venom, right? So I'm very curious how they got these models. This is a Bugatti. So next up, we're gonna have the Wilder 𝗬𝗍𝗍𝗏s, 3,000 revenge-seeking beasts who came into the Wilder world through an interdimensional portal to avenge their world, which was lost forever. And then the last ones here are the wolves, 3,333 of these guys who arrived again through an interdimensional portal to be the first life forms to roam Wilder world. So what are my first impressions? Obviously, I'm very impressed. Otherwise, I would not have covered the project. I have to respect the team for going into as much detail as they have. It really is shocking, in a good way, of course. And despite the fact that this company is not associated with VeVe, it should still give you guys a really good idea of where things are heading and what's also possible inside the VeVeverse. It should also give you a better idea of what to expect with the Unreal Engine plugin. And just like examples seen in this video, I mean, guys, the level of detail in Wilder Worlds is crazy, right? And one of the biggest things I always pay attention to, I've talked about it in the past with 𝗕𝗿𝗏𝗏𝗏, is lighting. Lighting is so hard to get right in games, and these guys have nailed it. From the natural lighting to all of the neon effects on the cars and stuff like that. If I was Italian, I'd be kissing my fingers right now. I also really appreciate all the little details when it comes to the way they've mapped this out, as well as something as simple as just looking into windows and seeing a different procedurally generated environment every single time. I'm always quite clear that I don't come from the crypto side, so I don't want to really speak too much on that whole 𝗏-6551 with the avatars. But I am also very, very curious to see how that pans out, because it's my personal opinion, but I do think that's the next stage for NFTs in the gaming space. I think PFPs were the first stage, and I think the next stage is people creating collections of full in-game assets that can be transferred in and out of different games. I'm not necessarily saying that that's what's going to be possible with Wilder World, but attaching the assets to your avatar is huge. We also just covered a company called 𝗎𝗏, which gave me, as well as many other people, some inspiration in terms of what they can build inside the VeVeverse. And I would say that Wilder World is no different here. As mentioned before, they're actually working with architects and city planners and things like that to develop the space. And the architecture that they have inside of Wilder World is really cool. So you guys can use that as inspiration as well. Now, it's very hard to kind of critique or provide advice just because I've never played the game. I am basing this all off footage, and on top of that, all the footage is development footage as well. What I will say is my experience on their website has been a little wonky. So your website speed is very slow. In fact, both my laptop and desktop actually crashed, and both crashed multiple times. So I know there's a lot of like moving elements on your website, but maybe just take that into consideration. As for the project, I'm very interested. As for the community, I must say thank you. You guys have welcomed me as well as other VeVe members with open arms. I hope the Wilder community can learn from VeVe. I hope the VeVe team can learn from Wilder. And it's because of projects like these two companies that are bringing all of this NFT in-game asset stuff to fruition. I do gotta say, for a company that's been in the space for 14 years or 12 years, I don't think the full 12 years have been involved with Wilder World, but regardless, the 12 years experience of being in the gaming industry and not turning the other way when you saw NFTs is also very respectable, because there's a lot of gaming companies in the space right now that know about NFTs but have refused to adopt the tech. So it's because of companies like this that are only helping that space move forward. You have to respect it. And when they're doing it as well and as detailed as they are, like I said earlier, it just makes the experience that much better. So keep up the great work, guys. I will definitely be keeping my eyes on this project. I said in my promo post that if you're a gamer, I don't know how you can't. And then when you find out that they mix that whole Destiny and GTA feel with actual blockchain tech, it just becomes this whole other level. So if you guys didn't know about the company, now you do. And if you guys didn't know about the VeVe community, now you do. So I really appreciate all the people who tuned in for this episode. I know we've gone a little against the grain with what we typically cover, but it's important to stay up to date with what's happening in the space, and content like this is a way for you guys to do that. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to conclude today's episode. I hope you enjoyed. That was a full in-depth breakdown of Wilder World, from devlog 0 to devlog 4, including what the project is, the city inside it, as well as specific neighborhoods inside that city. So if you guys enjoy the content, make sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below what you want to see in a future episode. And as for next, I'll catch you then.